So narrative and story. Narrative is the open-ended arc of what a story world can hold. Usually if you are creator of the project, you hold that narrative, you hold the rules of the game and how things can emerge, but you don't have the answer to the ending always, especially with a non-linear experience, because your audience might be telling the end of the story. So it is an opening, and narratives are overarching. And with stories is usually, if you actually look at it, it could be what led us to here, and also the milestone around a specific arc. If narrative of a whole story world is this bigger ecosystem, but you will have specific narrative arcs, world arcs, character arcs that you can actually follow, and that will help create a little bit of a more cohesive experience for certain audiences that might need it. So that's where the story sits.
A story is just not a book that you open and it begins with a chapter, an index, and ends with a paraphrase or a prologue. We need to impart a story which is more of the heart, experiential, than it is of the mind. There's been an argument about whether the millennial learns differently to the Generation Y and Generation X community. It's slightly different from that. I am an individual that comes from a certain way of learning. In my 50s now, my educational process was much more rote than it was experiential or creative. And I think what we were finding now is that we can impart a message and information much easier if the individual engages with that. So to your point about that multi-discipline of narrative, we need to come up with the right language for the individual, and that language is not just the spoken language, but it's also, is it an interface? Is it using a book? Is it using Kindle? Is it using virtual reality, augmented reality?
We can tell one type of story that exists as a narrative from A to Z. It tells a story of a character, or a story of a brand, or a story of a musician or an album, and it gives you that all the way through and takes you on a sort of traditional journey, right? And we can use multiple types of media or types of assets to do that. So for music, for example, the album package will tell you one thing, and that'll lead into a single cover, and the single covers will expand on that album package. That will lead into the videos. The videos will open that up and really let you dive in. The tour and the event side will really then, take it to a whole other level, right? And that ends up being less traditional of a story and more conceptual narrative. We're talking about ideas. We're talking about evoking emotions. Whatever the artist is trying to say in that place. For brands, a lot of the time the story is, what is this brand story? What are they trying to accomplish? How do we bring people along for the ride so that at the end of it, they understand the brand. They understand the concepts behind, or the mission statement behind a brand, or what they're trying to achieve. And then, other types of narrative for us is really like interweaving all kinds of various storylines or ideas that don't necessarily feel like they go together on first glance. But then when you take that 30,000 foot view and you step back from it and you see it all play out, and you realize all the way along the road there, they were connecting that and leading me down a path that I wasn't aware of.